Good morning, trading world. It is December 10th, 2021, 8:41 a.m., just after the CPI number. Today's title for pre-market is Markets Leadership Shrinking. Is it enough for a flush down? I have been watching market leaders, and to a degree they are shrinking. I have been keeping my eye on Apple, Nvda, Tesla, XLF, Amazon, Google. And as of yesterday, Nvda, XLF, and Amazon were starting to get deep into a topping formation, it seems like. They were no longer making higher highs. And as of this morning, you can add Tesla to the list. Now, with those kind of falling apart, it seems to me that it even puts even more of a stress on Apple because that's where everyone is running to. But even Apple, as of yesterday, seems to be starting the topping process, whereas others are kind of deep into it. Apple is just now starting that process. So that'll be something to pay close attention to as we go through the day. Today is big because not only is it expiration Friday, but we have the CPI number that just came out. And to me, this is the biggest event. We got the Fed speak coming next week, but to me, this was the big event to really pay attention to, and a lot of people were positioning in regards to that event. So I saw some kind of blow-off top event happening today, and maybe the opposite coming with the Fed. So let's get into the key levels. Try to run through it real quick. All right, the key levels for today. I did this before the CPI report, so we've already bust through the Jack resistance level of 468. We have a Queen resistance of 469 and a King resistance of 471 through 473. On the support side, we have Jack support of 466, Queen support of 464, and King support of 462, 461. Now that we've already bust through the 468 area, you can actually argue that this moves up to be the Jack support level. From this point, I felt that yesterday I kind of thought we were going to get a blow off top type of a moment. It usually just feels that way to me. We get that blow off top type of a moment going in the weekend, and then we come back on Monday, gap down a large amount. So those are the levels to watch today. Looking at things, I knew it still has this crazy feel of a day being an expiration Friday. But at some point I thought we would get a touchdown deep into support and then rally up even more. So this day is going to be kind of hard to kind of frame out. All right, getting into the scenarios. I sat here for a minute, and today just has this strange feel to me. Like there are a lot of days where I felt like I've been here before, but usually I have 3 day types, whether it's a range day or change day or trend day. But I just feel like today is going to be weird. We're going to get like a weird quirk in today at some point that's going to kind of foreshadow what may come next week. And I've been here, I've seen these days. The strange part of it is usually the blow off top part happens, but it just feels weird to me. I can't put my finger on it. But the first scenario is going to be a crazy range day where we kind of chop sideways at the 469, 470 area before dropping and establishing a lower range and chopping sideways. And then we may get a surprise flush. It may not be big, but it's foreshadowing to me that if in the middle of this range day we get this flush down toward 465 or even the lower support of 462 area before winding up and actually pushing back up and ending the day kind of pushing up. And to me, that's going to be kind of a strange and kind of a foreshadowing day. I probably won't be able to put it together until the end of the day or my next pre-market analysis, whether if we get a flush down below this 466 area, it'll be kind of a foreshadowing moment that we're probably going to come into next week gap down, and we're going to get some decent, or should I say huge, sales activity, pushing us back down into the 450s. I don't see us really taking on the complete bear market or anything this close to the end of the year, but I just see us kind of getting a quick flush down and then kind of winding back up where we are today by the end of the year. So that's the range day kind of strange thing that I kind of feel coming in. Let's go to scenario number 2. Scenario number 2 also has this strange or weird activity. We come in on the change day type structure where we head lower off the open, and around 469, 468 we get this kind of sideways chop, which almost gives us a head fake like we're going to go back up, and then we get into kind of a drop where we flush down to the lower levels of support, the queen or king support at possibly 464 or even all the way down to 462 before giving a quick turnaround and actually coming back up and making a lot of that ground back up today. And if we dip below a certain level, like I said earlier, it kind of foreshadows us coming into a flush next week. So either way, in every scenario, it almost feels like this ominous flush type of activity happening at some point today, especially if we get below 467. If we get below 467 on the morning, we could kind of feel a free fall type activity that could take us anywhere between 462 all the way down to 459. So I'm going to stop here with the scenarios, because today is a day that it has this weird feel. It's one of those days where I kind of want to sit back and kind of watch what happens. And if we bounce back up to 470, I don't mind taking a short there. Or if I get divergence at the 470, 471 area, I'll say I don't mind taking a short. But I have to see clear divergence. And it just feels weird to me this morning. I know it's not technical. That's not really technical analysis, but I've had a couple days where there's a regular day structure that appears, but in the middle of it, we have this weird flushing activity, and it always happens on an expiration day. And usually, if we're going into a weekend, it kind of foreshadows like a huge gap down coming. But I have to see things kind of play out. But I just want to put that out there. I'm only going to go 2 scenarios because it feels kind of crazy to me. So this is one of those days where I'm going to really step back and kind of watch to see what unfolds. I have enough positions on, enough bearish positions on for me to just, there's no need for me to really do more unless they open up and they give me something up into 471 area. But another thing to remember, we're above the market maker's expected move. I think the market maker's expected move for the SPY is around 466.5 or somewhere around there. We could skirt that 466 for a while and then just kind of drop. And it's not going to be any rhyme or reason, but we could seem like a regular day to 466 and just kind of skirt back and forth between 466 and 469, or even at 465, and we'll kind of get drawn back up into 466. And it's going to take a huge volume spike to kind of get us off of that level. And if it comes to the downside, we could see a nice drop. And the same goes for the upside. If we see a volume spike up, we could definitely be going to set a new all-time high. So that's one of the things I'm keeping my eye on, and I kind of want to just kind of watch to see how this unfolds, especially since I have enough positions on. So that is my pre-market outlook. Forgive me for not being able to play out the outlooks for today, but in addition to me trying to work the bugs out of a spreadsheet, there's just this weird feel about today. And as always, know your risk, because coming into days like this, there's a lot of risk to the downside. If we explode up, there's a limit to how far we go up from this point. Well, I'm not going to say a limit, but the risk is easier to define on the upside than it is to the downside. So plan accordingly and be careful. Make sure all your positions are defined risks so that you know how much you could lose and you're comfortable with that. Because we could have a weird ride today and going into next week. So wishing you a successful trading day. Have a great one. Be safe.